In the songs of the dark, not a revival,
a reckoning, a reclaiming.
Renaissance, rising from the ancient code. Everything around here doing what is told. Cold in the rebirth, dark in the gloom. Dark Renaissance, filling every room. Nobody predicting what the dark revives. Dark Renaissance, keeping all the lives. Every era darkened by the coming wave. Dark Renaissance, rising from the grave.
Renaissance that is dark revives the coldest star. Dark Renaissance, tearing everything apart.
Dark Renaissance,
Cold revival,
everything around here.
past survival,
Dark Renaissance,
ancient power,
Dark Renaissance,
dominating every hour.
Dark Renaissance,
Cannot stop.
Dark Renaissance,
Rising to the top. Sentimental history rewriting in the dark Renaissance, leaving every permanent mark. Every masterpiece now rendered in the cold dark Renaissance, bolder than the bold. Cold in the culture, dark in the age. Dark Renaissance, turning every page. Nothing in the light ever matching this revival. Dark Renaissance is the ultimate survival. The Renaissance is dark because light dares forget the death. Dark Renaissance, running on the darkest
Dark
day.
Renaissance,
Cold revival,
everything around here.
past survival,
Dark Renaissance,
ancient power,
Dark Renaissance,
dominating every hour. Renaissance culture cold, dark Renaissance. Never growing old.
prophecy forged in steel cannot be unspoken, cannot be avoided, was always coming. Steel prophecy written before the time. Everything around it falling out of rhyme. Cold in the foretelling, dark in the word. Steel prophecy always to be heard. Nobody escaping what the steel predicts. Steel prophecy in its darkest mix. Every future locked into what steel declared. Steel prophecy is the only thing prepared. Prophecy of steel cannot be altered. Steel prophecy never to be faltered. Steel prophecy cannot avoid. Everything around here already destroyed. Steel prophecy, cold and true. Steel prophecy coming after you. Steel prophecy prophecy, bolder than the bold. Every attempt to change what steel foresaw. Steel prophecy, operating past the law code. In the inevitability, dark in the facts. Steel prophecy, never looking back. Nothing in the present change or what comes next. Steel prophecy is the only text. The prophecy is steel, because soft prophecies bend. Steel prophecy running past every end. Steel prophecy cannot avoid everything around here already destroyed. Steel prophecy, cold and true.
Steel prophecy coming after you.
Prophecy steel. Destiny cold.
Steel prophecy
Already told. Velocity in the dark. No destination. Just the speed. And the dark.
velocity, pushing past the limit line. Everything behind me, bleeding into brine. Cold in the motion, brutal in the speed. Dark velocity is everything I need. Nobody catching what the dark accelerates. Dark velocity operating past all gates. Every mile now darker than the one before. Dark velocity, always wanting more.
Velocity dark has no terminal speed. Dark velocity feeding every need.
Dark velocity, fast and cold. Everything around here doing what it's told. Dark velocity, night and speed. Dark velocity is the only creed. Dark velocity,
No brakes.
dark velocity,
Doing what it takes.
cinematic blur, the edge of sight. Dark velocity, consuming every light. Every instrument now buried in the red. Dark velocity, running past the dead. Cold in the chassis, volcanic in the drive. Dark velocity, keeping me alive. Nothing in the rear view, worth the second look. Dark velocity, wrote its own book.
The velocity is dark, because light slows things down. Dark velocity running past every known town.
Dark velocity, fast and cold. Everything around here doing what it's told. Dark velocity, night and speed.
Dark velocity is the only crown. Velocity. Dark. Speed holds. Dark velocity. Moving through the cold. At the edge of the abyss. Not locked. Not guarded. Just waiting. For those who walk toward it. abyssal, because shallow gates have limits. Abyssal gates standing past every minute. Abyssal gate, cold threshold. Everything around here already sold. Abyssal gate, dark entry. Abyssal gate, past every century. Subjects needed. Just the power. Dark sovereign past. Stop pronouncement. Dark sovereign cold command. Everything around here as they plan. Dark sovereign silent rule. Dark sovereign is the ultimate tool. Dark sovereign, no resistance. Past all distance. Cinematic power in the absolute cold. Dark sovereign more ancient than the old. Every territory yielding to the presence. Dark sovereign beyond all obsolescence. Cold in the governance, dark in the hold. Dark sovereign doing what it's told. Nothing in the room escaping what it is. Dark sovereign making everything his. The sovereign is dark because light requires permission. Dark sovereign operating on its own dark mission. Dark sovereign cold command. Everything around here as they plan. Dark sovereign silent rule. Dark sovereign is the ultimate tool. Never growing old. Genesis that was fractured at the moment of creation. Everything born broken. Everything born dark. Fractured genesis spreading from the first crack. Everything around here never coming back. Cold in the origin, dark in the birth. Fractured genesis proving every worth. Nobody healing what was broken at the start. Fractured genesis tearing everything apart. Every creation carrying the first. Fractured deep. Fractured genesis is the only thing I keep. Genesis, that is fractured creates differently. Fractured genesis, operating past the tendency. Fractured genesis, broken star. Everything around it falling apart. Fractured genesis, co-creation. Fractured genesis, past all explanation. Fractured genesis, original crack. Fractured genesis, never looking back. Cinematic beginning in the shattered moment. Fractured genesis delivering the component. Every element now formed around the break. Fractured genesis, making no mistake. Cold in the origin, volcanic in the spread. Fractured genesis, rising from the dead. Nothing in the perfect creation matching this. Fractured genesis, built for the abyss. The genesis was fractured because perfection has no tension. Fractured genesis, running past every convention. Fractured genesis, broken start. Everything around here falling apart. Fractured genesis, co-creation. Fractured genesis, past all explanation. Genesis fractured. Fractured genesis, running through its sins. Something that was there before is no longer recognizable. tradition. Dark metamorphosis running on its own profession. Dark metamorphosis, new form. Everything around here past the storm. Dark metamorphosis, cold rebirth. Dark metamorphosis, proving every word. Transformation complete. Darkness hopes. Dark metamorphosis. Never growing old. Forged in cold. Not in heat. Not in glory. In the long, cold dark. Cold legend, moving through the centuries. Everything around here bending at the knees. Cold in the legacy, dark in the myth. Cold legend is the oldest gift. Nobody writing what the cold creates. Cold legend operating past all dates. Every chapter darker than the one before. Cold legend always opening the door. Legend built in cold outlast the war. Cold legend moving past the store. Cold legend stands alone. Everything around it carved in stone. Cold legend, ancient power. Cold legend dominating every hour. Cold legend never dies. Cold legend underneath every sky. Cinematic myth built from the darkest days. Cold legend moving through the haze. Every story stripped of all the comfort parts. Cold legend breaking every heart. Cold in the telling, volcanic in the truth. Cold legend is the most brutal proof. Nothing too close to ignore. Bleeding into iron. Iron horizon is the thing I'm buying. Every mile covered and it stays the same. Iron horizon playing its own game. Cold in the landscape, dark in the air. Iron horizon everywhere. Nothing in the map explaining what I see. Iron horizon is what drives me. The horizon is iron, because soft horizons give out. Iron horizon holding everything past the dark. Iron horizon, always far. Everything around here under every star. Iron horizon, cold and wide. Iron horizon, nowhere left to hide. Bright enough to see you while falling. Neon abyss glowing from the bottom up. Everything around here filling up the cup. Cold in the distance, bright in the dark. Neon abyss leaving every mark. Nobody moving with the neon highs. Neon abyss running on its ties. Every level deeper than the last. Neon abyss moving past the past. Abyss that glows when neon pulls you deeper. Neon abyss operating as its keeper. Neon abyss, glowing dark. Everything around here missing every mark. Neon abyss, lit and deep. Neon abyss is the promise that I keep. Neon abyss, can I see the floor? Neon abyss, always wanting more. Cinematic descent through the neon layers. Neon abyss with all its players. Every color brighter as the depth increases. Neon abyss tearing through the creases. Cold in the atmosphere, volcanic in the glow. Neon abyss putting on a show. Nothing at the surface worth returning for. Neon abyss is the only door. The abyss glows neon because dark needs to be seen. Neon abyss running on everything in between. Neon abyss glowing dark, everything around here missing every mark. Neon abyss lit and deep. Neon abyss is the promise that I keep. Abyss deep, 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 deep. Neon holes, deep, 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 deep. Neon abyss, deep, deep, deep. Never growing old. City of phantoms. Neon on the wet concrete. Nobody real, just reflections. No city glowing in the rain at night. Everything around here operating on spike. Cold in the movement, dark in the glow. Phantom City is the only show.
Nobody living what the neon advertises. Phantom City, full of cool surprises. Every window lit by someone else's screen. Phantom City running on the in-between.
City made of phantoms, needs no population. Phantom City, past all imagination.
Phantom City,
Lights and dark,
everything around here leaving every mark. Phantom City,
cold and wet.
Phantom City is the hardest to forget. Phantom City,
Owns the night.
Phantom City operating
On no light, driving past the buildings that I used to know.
Phantom City putting on a show.
Every intersection knows a different ghost.
Phantom City is the one I love the most.
Cold in the asphalt, dark in the sky.
Phantom City never asking why.
Nothing in the daylight feels as real as this.
Phantom City,
Built for the abyss. The city is a phantom.
the Phantom is the city.
Phantom City operating.
Without a hint of pity. Phantom City,
Lights and dark,
everything around here leaving every mark. Phantom City,
cold and wet.
Phantom City is the hardest to forget.
City fades.
Phantom stays.
Phantom City,
Moving through the haze.
Cinema of the void. No audience. No credits. Just the scene. Void cinema. projecting on the empty wall. Everything around here answering the call. Cold in the picture, dark in the frame. Void cinema always plays the same. Nobody directing what the void creates. Void cinema operating past our dates. Every scene more desolate than the one before. Void cinema opening every door. Cinema, the void needs no projection room. Void cinema fills the empty room. Void cinema, cold screen. Everything around here living in between. Void cinema, dark projection. Void cinema, past all perfection. Void cinema, endless real. Void cinema is everything I feel. Protagonist of void cinema walks alone. Void cinema is the only home. Every frame a masterpiece of emptiness. Void cinema built for the loneliness. Cold in the lighting, dark in the scene. Void cinema living in between. Nothing in the script explaining what comes next. Void cinema operating past the text. The cinema is void, because void is the most on a screen. Void cinema showing everything in between. Void cinema, cold screen. Everything around here living in between. Void cinema, dark projection. Void cinema, past all perfection. Cinema dark. Void projects. Void cinema, collecting all its debts. Since before the beginning, still running. Long after the end. Eternal signal cutting through the noise of time. Everything around it falling out of rhyme. Cold in the transmission, dark in the wave. Eternal signal broadcasting from the grave. Nobody stopping what is always run. Eternal signal older than the sun. Every frequency carries predates sound. Eternal signal is the most profound. Signal that is eternal has no source. Eternal signal staying on its course. Eternal signal always on. Everything around here nearly gone. Eternal signal, cold and old. Eternal signal is the oldest story told. Eternal signal, no decay. Eternal signal, running every day. burns from the inside out, not warming anything, just burning. Cold fire burning through the darkest night, everything around it losing all its light. Cold in the flame, dark in the heat. Cold fire, refusing all defeat. Nobody extinguishing this kind of burn. Cold fire, something you never learn. Every temperature now paradoxical here. Cold fire, burning everything I fear.
Fire that burns cold, illuminates nothing. Cold fire doing everything.
Cold fire, freezing flame. Everything around it never quite the same. Cold fire burns within. Cold fire is where it all begins. Cold fire cannot warm. Cold fire is the paradox of form. Cinematic burning at the absolute zero. Cold fire operating as its hero. Every spark now colder than the air. Cold fire burning everywhere. Cold in the fuel, dark in the glow. Cold fire putting on its show. Nothing in the warmth matching what this does. Cold fire existing just because.
The fire is cold because cold is more intense. Cold fire burning past every pretense.
Cold fire, freezing flame. Everything around it never quite the same. Cold fire burns within. Cold fire is where it all begins. Fire burns deep. Cold fire. Infinity is so cold, burning in sleep. It has no edges, no center. Just the cold going on, 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 on. Cold infinity stretching past the last star. Everything around here dissolving too far. Cold in the vastness, dark in the space. Cold infinity running the infinite race. Nobody reaching where the cold ends. Cold infinity past all the bends. Every direction leading to more cold. Cold infinity older than the old. Infinity that is cold has no perimeter. Cold infinity beyond all diameter. Cold infinity, no end. Everything around here starting to bend. Cold infinity, vast and dark. Cold infinity, past the final mark. Cold infinity cannot measure. Cold infinity beyond all pleasure. Cinematic darkness stretching every way. Cold infinity operating every day. Every calculation falling infinitely short. infinity running past every minute. Cold infinity, no end. Everything around here starting to bend. Cold infinity, vast and dark. Cold infinity, past the final mark. Infinity cold, dark goes on. Cold infinity, after everything gone. Testament written in cold. Not blood, not ink. Code itself became the writing instrument. Cold testament written in the darkest year. Testament written in the darkest year. Everything around here becoming clear. Cold in the scripture, dark in the verse. Cold testament is the original curse. Nobody reading what the code recorded. Cold testament never to be rewarded. Every chapter colder than the one before. Cold testament always keeping score. Testament of cold cannot be reinterpreted. Cold testament forever consecrated. Cold testament, ancient word. Everything around here already heard. Cold testament, dark scripture. Cold testament is the clearest picture. Cold testament, permanent record. Cold testament, always moving forward. Cinematic, ancient in the cold inscription. Cold testament beyond all description. Every passage darker than the scholars know. Cold testament putting on its show. Cold in the language, dark in the law. Cold testament with its iron jaw. Nothing in the modern translation capturing this. Old testament built for the abyss. The testament is cold because warmth edits what it records. Cold testament preserving every coldest word. Cold testament, ancient word. Everything around here already heard. Cold testament, dark scripture. Cold testament is the clearest picture. Testament, cold, written dark. Cold testament, built from every mark. Architect of darkness. No blueprint survives the inspection. The darkness builds itself through the architect. Dark architect drawing in dark needs no approval. Dark architect past all removal. Dark architect, cold design. Everything around here falling in line. Dark architect builds the dark. Dark architect leaving every mark. Dark architect, no revision. Dark architect operating with precision. Cinematic structures rising in the cold. Dark architect bolder than the bold. Every angle calculated for maximum shadow. Dark architect building past the shallow. Cold in the planning, dark in the execution. Dark architect providing every solution. Nothing in the light matching what gets built here. Dark architect making everything clear. The architect is dark because light structures crumble. Dark architect building past every humble. Dark architect, cold design. Everything around here falling in line. Dark architect builds the dark. Dark architect leaving every mark. Structured dark. Built from every mark. Aurora but dark. Not the colors they show you. The ones underneath. The cold ones. Dark aurora spreading across the polar sky. Everything around here wondering why. Cold in the display, dark in the light. Dark aurora painting every night. Nobody documenting what the dark aurora shows. Dark aurora is the thing that only cold knows. Every color stripped to its darkest form. Dark aurora riding every storm. Aurora of the dark illuminates nothing warm. Dark aurora moving past the norm.
Dark aurora,
Cold display
everything around here.
fading away.
Dark aurora,
Dark and vast.
dark aurora is the kind that lasts. Dark aurora,
Polar dark.
dark aurora,
Leaving
tunnel. Dark aurora running past every reason. Dark aurora,
cold display,
everything around here
fading away.
Dark aurora,
Dark, dark and vast.
dark aurora is the kind that lasts.
Aurora dark.
Cold display, dark aurora,
Lighting the way. Sovereign of the dark. No throne required. No subjects needed. Just the power. Dark sovereign moving through the silent halls. Everything around here answering the calls. Cold in the authority, dark in the rain. Dark sovereign operating through the pain. Nobody questioning what the sovereign decides. Dark sovereign moving the tides. Every decree delivered without a word. Dark sovereign always to be heard. Sovereign of the dark rules without announcement. Dark sovereign past. Stop pronouncement. Dark sovereign cold command. Everything around here as they plan. Dark sovereign silent rule. Dark sovereign is the ultimate tool. Dark sovereign, no resistance. Dark sovereign, operating past all distance. Cinematic power in the absolute cold. Dark sovereign more ancient than the old. Every territory yielding to the presence. Dark sovereign beyond all obsolescence. Cold in the governance, dark in the hold. Dark sovereign doing what it's told. Nothing in the room escaping what it is. Dark sovereign making everything his. The sovereign is dark because light requires permission. Dark sovereign operating on its own dark mission. Dark sovereign cold command. Everything around here as they plan. Dark sovereign silent rule. Dark sovereign is the ultimate tool. Sovereign dark. Power holds. Dark. Sovereign. Never growing old. Die. Still delivers prophecy. Cold and accurate. From the other side. ghost. Oracle stepping from the silent place. Everything around here trying to erase. Cold in the vision, dark in the word. Ghost oracle always to be heard. Nobody considering what the dead reveals. Ghost oracle breaking every seal. Every prophecy delivered without warmth. Ghost oracle operating past the norm. Oracle of ghosts sees past the veil. Oracle. Ghost oracle beyond every tale. Ghost oracle, cold vision. Everything around here past our decision. Ghost oracle
Speaks from dark,
Ghost oracle,
leaving every mark.
Ghost oracle,
Cannot silence
Ghost oracle.
past all reliance.
Sitting out of darkness in the prophetic mouth. Ghost oracle moving north and south. Every repetition colder than the last one made. Ghost oracle calling every spade. Cold in the night with dark in the sight. Ghost oracle operating in the night. Nothing in the living mansion with the dead seas. Ghost oracle moving through the trees.
The oracle is ghost, because living oracles lie.
Ghost oracle,
Seeing past every goodbye.
Ghost oracle,
Cold vision of everything around here, past all decision.
Ghost oracle,
Speaks from dark,
Ghost oracle.
leaving every mark.
Oracle ghost.
Vision cold, ghost oracle.
More accurate than all. Ascending through cold air. Nobody watching. Nobody needs to. Cold ascension, rising past the tree line. Everything below just fading from the design. is cold, because warm stays below. Cold ascension moving past what anyone can know. Cold ascension, moving up. Everything below, just giving up. Cold ascension, dark and high. Cold ascension, touching every sky. Ascension holds, cold remains. Cold ascension, running through its veins. Crown with nothing inside, heavier than any full crown, because it carries the weight of what it isn't. Hollow ground sitting on the coldest head. Everything around here wishing it was dead. Cold in the symbol, dark in the void. Hollow ground completely overjoyed. Nobody feeling what the hollow ways. Hollow ground operating through the days. Every jewel setting nothing at the core. Hollow ground always keeping score. Crown that is hollow weighs more than solid gold. Hollow crown is the oldest story told. Hollow crown, on top. Everything around here unable to stop. Hollow crown, empty ring. Hollow crown is the most brutal thing. Hollow crown, nothing inside. Hollow crown, with nowhere left to hide. Cinematic power in the empty symbol. Hollow crown making everything simple. Every ruler crown with nothing real. Hollow crown is what they truly feel. Cold in the ceremony, dark in the gold. Hollow crown more ancient than the old. Nothing in the sonic crown matching what the shows. Hollow crown is the thing that Cole knows. The crown is hollow because power has no substance. Hollow crown running on its own reluctance. Hollow crown, cold on top. Everything around here unable to stop. Hollow crown, empty ring. Hollow crown is the most brutal thing. Crown hollow, cold remains. Hollow crown, running through its veins. Cathedral forged from iron. No prayers answered here. Not because nobody hears.
Because iron has no nerves.
Iron cathedral standing past the ages. Everything around here turning different pages. Cold in the nave, dark in the arch. Iron cathedral continuing its march. Nobody worshiping what the iron built. Iron cathedral operating past the guilt. Every column harder than the last one raised. Iron cathedral never to be praised.
Cathedral made of iron hears no prayer. Iron cathedral operating everywhere.
Iron cathedral, cold and tall. Everything around here land. Cinematic reverence in the iron space. Iron Cathedral is a different kind of grace. Every window dark instead of stained with light. Iron Cathedral operating through the night. Cold in the liturgy, dark in the rite. Iron Cathedral always getting it right. Nothing in the soft cathedral matching this. Iron Cathedral built for the abyss. The cathedral is iron, because stone eventually crumbles.
Iron Cathedral standing
Past every humble. Iron Cathedral, cold and tall. Everything around here, past the fall. Iron Cathedral, dark inside.
Iron Cathedral
With nowhere to hide.
Cathedral iron
Dark and tall,
Iron Cathedral
standing past the fall. Cosmos made of iron. Every star a dark sun. Every void a darker void. Iron cosmos spreading past the edge of sight. Everything around it losing all its light. Cold in the distance, dark in the field. Iron cosmos making everything yield. Nobody navigating what the iron built. Iron cosmos operating past the guilt. Every galaxy now forged from harder things. Iron cosmos in the dark it brings. Cosmos made of iron has no soft matter. Iron cosmos watching everything shatter. Iron cosmos dark and vast. Everything around it cannot last. Iron cosmos cold expanse. Iron cosmos leaving nothing to chance. Iron cosmos, iron stars. Iron cosmos, going past all bars. Cinematic darkness at the universal scale. Iron cosmos moving past the veil. Every nebula now hardened past its birth. Iron cosmos proving every worth. Cold in the physics, dark in the law. Iron cosmos with its iron jaw. Nothing in the soft universe surviving this. Iron cosmos built for the abyss. The cosmos is iron, because soft universes collapse. Iron cosmos running through all the cosmic laps. Iron cosmos dark and vast. Everything around it cannot last. Iron cosmos cold expanse. Iron cosmos leaving nothing to chance. during the day. The rules are different. At night, everything is permitted. Night doctrine spreading when the daylight ends. Everything around here following the bends. Cold in the law, dark in the rule. Night doctrine is the ultimate school. Nobody enforcing what the night declares. Night doctrine operating past the stairs. Every prohibition lifted after dark. Night doctrine leaving every mark.
Doctrine of the night needs no committee. Night doctrine without any pity.
Night doctrine after dark. Everything around here past the mark. Night doctrine, cold and clear.
Night doctrine is the only thing I hear.
Night doctrine,
No daylight rules.
night doctrine,
Breaking all the tools.
cinematic darkness in the written law. Night doctrine operating past the flawed. Every regulation now suspended past midnight.
Night doctrine.
Working in the night, cold in the jurisdiction, dark in the cold. Night doctrine carried in the heaviest load. Nothing in the morning law matching what night says.
Night doctrine.
Operating through the days. The doctrine is night, because daylight doctrine has exceptions. Night doctrine running past all the deceptions. Night doctrine after dark.
Everything around here past the mark.
Night doctrine, cold and clear.
Night doctrine is the only thing I hear.
Doctrine, night, cold applies. Night doctrine,
Under all the skies.
kingdom built entirely of shadow. No walls visible. No borders marked. Yet nothing crosses them. Shadow kingdom rising from the underground. Everything around here making the same sound. Cold in the structure, dark in the realm. Shadow kingdom steady at the helm. Nobody mapping what the shadow claims. Shadow kingdom operating past our names. Every corner darker than the one before. Shadow kingdom always keeping score. Kingdom made of shadow needs no walls. Shadow kingdom answering every call. Shadow Kingdom, cold domain. Everything around it feeling every change. Shadow Kingdom, dark and vast. Shadow Kingdom built to always last. Shadow Kingdom, no sunlight. Shadow Kingdom,
Operating every night.
cinematic power in the darkest land. Shadow Kingdom running as planned. Every citizen invisible by design. Shadow Kingdom operating past the line. Cold in the architecture, dark in the air. Shadow Kingdom everywhere. Nothing in the light explaining what exists here. Shadow Kingdom feeding on the fear. The kingdom is shadow, because solid things can fall. Shadow Kingdom standing when nothing stands at all. Shadow Kingdom, cold domain. Everything around you feeling every chain. Shadow Kingdom, dark and vast. Shadow Kingdom built to always last. Kingdom shadow, dark holds wide. Shadow Kingdom,
Running deep inside.
horizon made of steel, reflecting nothing, absorbing everything. Rising, cutting through the morning cold. Everything around here doing what is told. Cold in the distance, dark in the line. Steel horizon running past design. Nobody reaching where the steel divides. Steel horizon moving with the tides. Every approach leaves it equally far. Steel horizon underneath every star.
Horizon of steel reflects the one who seeks. Steel horizon moving through the weeks.
Steel horizon, cold divide. Everything around here unable to hide. Steel horizon, dark and far. Steel horizon underneath every star. Keeps receding. Is the only thing I'm needing. Cinematic distance bleeding into steel. Steel horizon making everything real. Every mile now harder than before. Steel horizon always keeping score. Cold in the landscape, dark in the air. Steel horizon everywhere. Nothing in the map explaining what I chase. Steel horizon occupying every space. The horizon is steel, because soft horizons dissolve. Steel horizon, giving